a sun, the fields are alive, cheering crowds and the teams collide. In these moments, we stand tall and free. First pride runs deep in me. With every touchdown, we rise and we cheer. Unity and spirit, the heart of the year. Raise your voices, let's make it loud. In Florida's high schools, we're so damn proud. From the bleachers to the end zones go, football and cheers make our spirits roll. Girls in the game, they're fierce and bright. Flag in hand, they give it their might. From every town they bring their dreams. On this field of gold, nothing's as it seems. Together we shine, together we play. In Florida's heart, we own this day. Raise your voices, let's make it loud. In Florida's high schools, we're so damn proud. From the bleachers to the end zones go, football and cheers make our spirits grow. So here's to the game, we'll rise and stand. In Florida's field, real giant band.
Yes, I know it's not that time of day usually when we do this kind of stuff, but we've got something special here, and it is, yeah, happy FHSAA Realignment Soapbox Day is pretty much what we're going to be calling that. It's part one, I guess you'd throw in that. Welcome to an overtime edition of the Blitz. We'll do these from here and there, time to time, which outside of maybe normal, typical viewing hours, which is usually Tuesday and Wednesday nights on FloydHSFootball.com and the Floyd HS Football social media handles when we do our normal regional Blitz shows and along with the Drive the State Blitz. This is an overtime edition of the Blitz. That's Christopher Like. He's back. I told you all we'd be back today, so he is here.
I'm back.
He's back.
I'm back.
He's back. This is scheduling conflicts yesterday, and I'm Josh Wilson. We're going to set the table here, what's coming up here at 2 o'clock Eastern, and that is the FHSAA Board of Directors is having a workshop to basically discuss what's coming up ahead for the Board of Directors meeting. That is the General Board of Directors meeting on Monday, November 3rd. And the informational workshop it's going to discuss ongoing topics. Well, the ongoing topic, really the big topic, the elephant in the room is the football classifications. They're talking about, I guess we got to have to kind of set this table in a way here, Chris, because
yeah.
There's a lot here to really digest here, to really kind of get into it here. And honestly, as I got to say here with the proposal that we're going to talk about here, there's a lot to really kind of, I guess, get to. So I guess we got a lot of bananas to peel over here. And if y'all are watching us wherever you're watching us at, be it YouTube, be it on Facebook, be it on X, go ahead and leave us a comment. You can talk. What we're gonna do is when we bring this meeting in, when they go live, we'll bring it in. We'll have it, but we'll listen in. We may chime in on some comments here and there. Really, the key thing for us is to really kind of discuss what's going on here. So let's set the table. Hey, Zach, good to see you. Glad to see you jumping in the chat. I'll answer that question in a moment. All right, so back there was an X Spaces back before the season started with the Florida Coaches Coalition, one of our partners here at FloydHSFootball.com, and Craig Damon, the FHSAA Executive Director, was on that meeting, on that space, and because it was a chance for coaches and everybody to ask questions. one of the things said is that, yeah, he would like a reduction in classifications. Well, he didn't specifically say football. He said reduction in classifications in sports, but, especially, and specifically, we know football is a big key thing because football drives athletics for 98% of the schools in this state. I got to be honest with you, Chris. What we just saw that was just posted for the board of directors meeting for Monday, which I believe just finally got posted this morning. I got to tell you what I'm seeing here. Ooh, I'm not so sure about that.
Yeah.
Me and you have digested this the last couple hours. We talked about going live here. We were going to think, we'll go 145. No, we need to go 130 because of what we just.
Yeah, there's a lot to discuss here because yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot to really kind of get at here, a lot to discuss, a lot to really just, I guess, kind of chew on here as we get ready and we wait for the FHSAA Board of Directors meeting to start here and to really kind of get to it here. The big thing here is that football classifications are the big subject, topic of subject. Let's go ahead and pull this up here on the screen here. I'm going to go ahead and pull this up here, Chris, as we do this here, and I'll share the screen here. So let me go ahead and bring this up, and then we'll bring this in here and add it to the stage here. All right. Okay, as y'all see here, this is the PDF. I'm going to see if I can't make this bigger on the one side for y'all, so that way y'all can see it here. I'm going to bring this up here a little bit closer. I want to see if I can close the sidebar, but I may not be able to on this sidebar. But anyways, here we go. This is what's on the topic of the discussion. That the classification process is one of the most important tasks of the FHSAA. It entails utilizing a system which separates member schools and the classes into a manner that embodies the principles of the association. The process chosen will determine the class structure for 26, 27, and 27 and 28 school years. Attached are options for considering moving forward. The problem is that there's only one option. There's not multiple options on this document. I want to preface that.
Yeah, and that one option is there's a lot to the.
And Zach, go ahead. To answer Zach's question, Chris. I got something for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Price's Right one maybe be better.
Yeah.
Price's Right one might be better.
Yeah. No. Hold on 1 second. I've got something caught up on my thing here, not wanting to hold there. All right. Here you go. You ready? So this is what we read here through the document here. It's a lot more about football than any other sport. So if you're expecting changes to, reduction in classifications for the other sports, yeah. This is. I just don't know. Let's go ahead. Let's just go ahead and dive into this. All right. So the rationale impact the option selected will provide the framework for the FHSAA staff to assign member schools into classes and further breakdown into districts. That's a big thing that we're sitting there right there on that one here. And Chris, let me go ahead and scroll down here. If you want to go ahead and read this here real quick, what they're proposing here, we'll talk about this because this is the first part that's going to get into the part here. I got to go off screen for a moment because I've set my phone down somewhere and I do not know where it's at. So let me go off screen here for a moment and I'll be right back here in just a second here. All right.
Okay. Yeah, the FHSAA will not receive any percentage of the game receipts from the district tournaments. Yeah, so you heard that right. There's going to be a district tournament in football. That first sentence says district tournament in football. The FHSAA will not receive any gate receipts for district tournaments in football.
Yeah, and this is oh shoot, this is where, hold on, let's get that back to the situation there so I can get myself back to where, there we go. All right, so here we go. I guess here's the thing, and we'll mention Zach's comment here in a moment here as y'all pop in the chat here. If you're watching us on Facebook, X, or especially YouTube, get on the YouTube channel that's definitely where we would like for y'all to comment at, because that's the easiest place we can see your comments coming up pop up on the screen. And so, Zach, hold on, just hold on. This is going to get interesting. Get your popcorn out. Get your popcorn out. We're about 15 minutes away from the FHSAA Board of Directors.
I just read the first sentence in that thing, and that's where the fireworks start.
Yeah, this is where I'm here like. I just don't know where to go with this one right now, ladies and gentlemen. I really don't know where to go with this one right now. So let's just let's take a look at this. Let's dive into it here. Let's talk about it. Let's go forward with this. All right. So to kind of set the table further, all right, classification, obviously membership classifications will be applied for administrative member schools. Obviously, this is all standard stuff that's already in there. Ah, man, he's got his bag of white cheddar popcorn. There you go. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Obviously, a lot of this stuff is stuff that's already in here. We're dealing with a couple different policies here, but the biggest thing now we're getting into what I would say is we're going to go to page 8 now. This is where it gets really, really juicy, so to speak. All right. 12.3 deals with football. So they're going to separate football. I'm going to, before we go thing, they're going to separate football out of 12.3. They're going to create a new section that says 12.3 football. So football is going to be moved into its own thing now. Number of classifications. They're proposing right now 5 classifications in addition to the rural classification. All right. So we're going to be talking about what? 5A, 4A, 3A, 2A, 1A in rural. All right. There's that. The number of total existing members of senior high schools which commit to participate in the state series shall be ranked in the order of student population. Student population, the smallest school in each classification, shall form the dividing line between that classification and the next lowest classification. Schools that have the same student population as a school whose student population forms a dividing line between classifications shall be placed with that school into the higher classification. The requisite number of schools then shall be assigned to each successive classification. Once the dividing lines between classifications for a classification term are determined, they shall not be changed during that classification term. Schools in geographical areas that are eligible as determined by the Rural Economic Development Initiative, REDI, which is a state government entity. Population density by zip code and median family income by zip code may be placed in the rural classification. The schools that will be placed in the rural will be determined as the student population of the lowest 32 populated schools that commit to the rural classification to support of football. Any school that accepts placement in the rural classification will remain in the rural classification for the duration of the cycle. In order to offer rural classification, there must be a minimum of 24 schools. So, but this is what's interesting. Go to 12.3.2.1. What does it say? Well, they're saying the lowest 40. So I don't know what's going on here. There's one section says 32, one says 40. It says the school years on there, 24, 25, 25, 26. I think they're going to have to update that because it's the language is not correct in that. 12.3.2.2, a new member school that requests to participate in the FHSAA football state series at the time of joining is ineligible to do so shall be assigned an appropriate classification according to its student population or projected student population beginning with the next 2-year scheduling cycle. Assignment in the district's regions, the schools in classifications 5A and 1A. In rural, this will be a big change. Rural will get districts back in this situation, but this is, again, we got more to go here. This is not just an end-all, be-all. Schools in 5A and 1A and rural shall be assigned evenly as practical to districts on a geographical basis. All right, so there's that, Chris. That's a lot in a handful right there in itself. Obviously, you see those changes that are going to happen. They're basically not going to shrink the number of classes in the other major team sports, what they're showing here in this proposal. Nothing changing really in the other team sports at this particular point that are the smaller team sports right this second that are there. The division of classifications, they talk about that for those team sports, but this is where we get into district scheduling. So currently it was 3.13.2.1 for classification 7A, the 1A and football regular season district games are required. Well, that gets stricken out. All right. So now for all classifications in girls volleyball, boys basketball, boys soccer, girls soccer, baseball, softball, flag football, football added to this line, boys lacrosse, girls lacrosse, boys, it goes on. Basically, a regular season district game is not required. Districts cannot vote the required district to mandate district games during the regular season. That's what it says here. That would be a change here on that based upon the thing. All right, football district championships. This is where Chris is really, He's really having he's really me and him had a chew session on this one big time.
Oh God, yes.
All right, 13.3.1, which is proposed in the sport of football. All teams committed to the state series will be permitted to schedule 8 contests through week 9. That means teams cannot schedule bye weeks 10 and week 11. After week 9, the 4 highest ranked teams per MaxPreps rankings. Again, is this the FHSAA MaxPreps rankings that, the stuff that we keep talking and harpooning on every week? Or is this the MaxPreps rankings on maxpreps.com? Nobody knows. All right, in each district that will compete in the district tournament beginning with week 10, the 1 seed will play the 4 seed and the 2 seed will play the 3 seed. The higher seed will always host. The winners of the 2 semifinal games will advance to the district championship during week 11 to determine a district champion. The runners up of the 2 semifinal games will play in week 11. All other teams may schedule and play a contest during weeks 10 and 11 after the district tournament bracket has been set. Teams shall not exceed the established contest limitations listed in policy 6.1.2, letter E, which is basically, all right, 10 games in a season, 60% of that, you get no more, your 40% of your schedule it can be outside the state. So basically, let's boil this down real quick, like in this situation. All right, your bye week for all teams will have to come between weeks 1 and 9. There will be no bye weeks given to the teams during weeks 10 and 11. All right, if you don't make the district tournament, you go out and freely schedule whatever you want to do. All right, maybe you're a team, you're 0-8. You know what? We're done. But you know what? That would be to a detriment to the kids, too, at the same time, and not playing those 2 other games in terms of weeks 10 and 11. The problem is, who are you going to find? Are we going to create a list of, okay, who's available, who's not available? How are we going to figure out who's going to play who? How are you going to I think this, Chris, causes a lot more headache for teams than they are asking for here.
Yeah, you're asking for these teams to schedule 8 games out of nowhere, and a lot of these teams, they only have the budget to travel only so far, and now you're asking for this to be, I don't know.
You know what's funny? I'm sitting here looking at my phone call log, but the executive director just tried to call me about 20 minutes ago as we were going on. I'm being serious.
Basically what this is they're taking the formula for what's in the other sports and putting it into football. And you can't do that with football. This is going to be a headache because you're having these teams to find 8 games out of their entire every school, 8 games out of their entire schedule.
Yeah, I mean, and are they still doing the makeup week or week 12? You know what? Do you know what? I'll tell you this right now. This totally blows the whole week 12 bye week up if this goes through.
Oh yeah,
this takes this totally out of the equation.
And you know what's so funny is you have these teams like St. Thomas Aquinas, American Heritage, Cocoa. Mm-hmm. You got these teams that don't want to play these teams, and you're going to end up with this exact situation where these teams cannot find a game because nobody wants to play them.
No, and you're absolutely right. Nobody wants to play them. Nobody's going to want to play them. And honestly, I just spilled my caffeine. Good going, Josh. This is how much I'm really kind of like frustrated in all of this. And now to find out that the FHSAA executive director just actually, tried to reach out to me. Which I already knew about this meeting anyways. I saw that, and I get it. The thing is here, this is what's going on. And honestly, I don't like the idea. I don't like this idea. I don't either.
I don't either. I mean, it's setting up a bad situation for 2 years.
I mean, it's setting up a bad precedent for 2 more years along the way. I mean, 2 years, it's setting up a bad precedent for what's going to come. We need to the problem is this. Football has had so many changes with classifications. Football has had so many changes in terms of how the playoffs are seeded. Football has had so many changes for the last decade that I don't know what's coming and what's going right now. I literally don't know. Okay, as we get to 155, we're at 55 Eastern. 1:55 Eastern, 12:55 Central here, Chris. I know that real quick. I don't think anything. Yeah, this is it of the document here for this one. Okay, let me take a look at what the FHA is doing here. Okay, they are live. All right, so let's go ahead. I'm going to switch over to this. Just give me 1 second here. I'm going to bring this off the screen for just a second here, Chris, and bring us back over here for a moment here. But the FHA, they do have the informational workshop live. I'm going to go ahead and bring that in here. And I'm going to go get that situated and ready. Okay. All right. So, all right. With that said here, I'm going to go ahead and bring this in and add it to the stage. All right. So, what you're seeing now, here's the webinar. We are able to hear the audio off of YouTube, so we'll hear that as well coming in on our end. Y'all should be able to hear that as well on y'all's end as well when we bring this in. Again, there's just this proposal's got more problems than I like. If there's more than one option, where are the rest of the options at?
Yeah, this is the only option that they present. So I don't know.
I don't know.
You know, we talked about this earlier, and we talked about what I thought should happen. You realign these things into 5 classifications. You put 12 teams in each district. You put 12 districts in each class. 3 regions, three districts per region. And how I would take that playoff. The playoff format I would have is have the top 2 teams in each district go to the playoffs. And then you have the 2 wild cards. That's 8 teams. So with my format, you basically you honor the district format, but you also have the wild card situation where that goes into play with these teams that are not in the playoff race.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right there, Chris. As you see on the screen, they have put up the thing for the meeting here.
That's just my thought on how it should be played.
By the way,
I've already got a whole lot of crap here.
Yeah. Don't mind me. I've got the Cheez-Its here. I've got other stuff, but it's downstairs. So.
Yeah, I got this.
And I've got my Celsius. So
what else I got? This here too.
Wow. Tic Tac.
So this is gonna be a long day. And tonight, we got a lot to talk about.
Yeah, we're man. So I'm interested to see, because obviously you say informational meeting. Well, you see classification proposal. So
Zach brought up the question: are they doing the makeup week or week 12 next year? That's another question.
I'm really interested to see what. There's a couple people on the board of directors that I'm curious to hear from. One is Bobby Johns. Obviously, Bobby Johns, longtime football coach, no longer coaching football, still oversees the athletics over there in Gulf County, which basically is Port St. Joe and Weewa Hitchcock. He's seen a lot of things. Another one is Ricky Bell, who is another board member director. He's the head coach at Leon. I'm interested to see what Ricky has to say. Ricky subscribes to the old school is more old school, and I agree with on things like that. You know what? And part of me wonders about this proposal. Is this to bring back some of the? Is this supposed to be? How long is this meeting expected to take? This is an informational meeting. I have no idea, Mark. Good afternoon to you, Mark. Glad to see you jump in here. Honestly, I really don't know, because
get your bag of popcorn ready, Mark. That's all I gotta say.
because I feel like, whatever comes out of this informational workshop is going to drive what happens in the subcommittees on Sunday, and then for the main meeting on Monday. There's just a lot to really chew on here, so to speak.
And like I said earlier, like we both said earlier, we do not like this proposal.
No.
This proposal is just, you can take it and throw it in the trash.
My other question is, where is a promotion? Where is this something? Where's a tournament success factor at in this? I don't see that. There needs to be a tournament success factor. I don't understand why we are not talking about one.
I don't either. I don't.
Hold on 1 second here. Let's see where my. All right, hold on one.
Usually with these things, they never start on time. So
No, they never do. I mean, we're already 1 minute. It's 2:01. It's 2:01 Eastern, 1:01 Central Time. I guarantee this probably will not start until about 5 after, at least. Oh, there we go.
Good afternoon, guys. How are y'all doing?
Let us know if y'all can hear that clearly as well on your side as well.
Happy Wednesday.
Yeah, it is. Happy Wednesday. Hump day.
They only have some of the board members on so far here.
And Adam, welcome aboard. Glad to have you. I will formally introduce you to the rest of the board here in a second. Can you help me pronouncing your last name, because I don't want to butcher it?
Cervera.
That's what I thought, but I just wanted to make sure.
Nice and easy, right?
Yes, sir.
If y'all can hear the feed from the FHA, just let us know. Give us a thumb up in the chat. We just want to make sure.
Hey, good afternoon, guys. It's Alex Tamargo. I'm driving, so I'm going to keep my camera off, but I'm on meeting.
Okay. All right. Appreciate you, Alex.
Thank you.
Okay. So, Chris, Zach asked, does it say anything about the open division?
Alex, I think Ricky Bell and Thomas Kenner are attendees that need to be brought over.
Okay, so if y'all are just joining us here, we're getting ready for the FHSAA Board of Directors workshop. It's regarding the football classification policy here. So just kind of stand by here as we get ready for this here. So, and they're starting to get ready to come on and all that. So,
Craig, this is Alan. I can't seem to get my video to work, so I guess I must have broke the camera last time I turned it on.
Yeah, that's perfectly fine. Oh man. Let's see if there's anybody else. Coach Schusterman.
Hello, I'm here, Mark Schusterman.
Hey there, Coach. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you guys today?
Pretty good.
okay, so there's Bobby Johns. I'm really like Chris.
Mr. Bell, are you on there too?
I'm interested to hear what Bobby Johns has to say.
Can you hear me?
I'm also interested.
Yes, sir. I got you.
Can you see me?
Bill has to sell. There's Ricky Bell as well. So.
Yes.
Yes.
I see you.
All right, good.
Yeah. Thank you.
Greg, that's everyone so far that's logged in.
Okay. Right now, only person I think we're missing is Paul Burns, but I'm not sure Dr. Burns may be able to be on due to his responsibilities with DOE. But again, just want to thank you guys for jumping on, and Alex, have you already started it yet? YouTube.
Yes, sir. It's already started.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Well, Mr. Chambers, I'm gonna turn it over to you and let you call the meeting to order, and we can get rolling.
Thank you, Mr. Damon, and good afternoon, everybody. And before we start, I would like to say that Mr. Savidio, your office looks absolutely incredible. pretty outstanding over there.
Appreciate it.
Wow.
Still in the process of decorating it. But
There you
I'm
go.
fine with that.
With that said, our meeting this afternoon is going to provide us an opportunity for the FHSAA staff to share football classifications proposals and to answer any clarifying questions from the board. Please remember that this is not an action item today. Comments from the board should be limited to clarifying questions only. That kind of sets the
Well, that's
stage. I know
interesting.
Mr. Damon will give more information as he gets into it, but before we do that, Mr. Damon, if you would please take the roll.
Chris, here goes nothing on this.
Ms. Bayless?
Yeah, I know.
Here.
There you go. Mr. Bell?
Mark said the first problem, they aren't ready for
Barry Hill?
the workshop, so
Here.
it's really an
Dr.
informal.
Burns? I don't think Dr. Burns is on. Mrs. Severo?
But this
Here.
will go down as a documented workshop
Superintendent Chambers?
board that'll be put into
Here.
the minutes for the FHSAA Board of
Mr.
Directors.
Ford. I don't see Mr. Ford. Okay. Coach Johns?
Real quick, as
Mr.
they do the
Kenner?
roll call here, Paul
Here.
Savidio was also
Mr. Schusterman?
a head coach
Here.
one time as well.
Mr.
Football head
Savidio?
coach at a community
Here.
school down in Naples, so he does
Mr.
have a little
Shirley?
football experience.
Here.
So
And Mr.
we do have
Camargo?
several guys that have football experience here
Here,
on this
All
board.
right.
So
Superintendent
hopefully
Chambers, we
we'll
have
hear from
11 of
them in
13
terms
board
of
members
clarifying
present for
questions.
today's informational workshop.
Thank you, sir. And at this time, we'll turn the meeting over to you and the staff for the presentation.
And again, just want to thank each of you for being here today. It's that time of year when we do classifications, so wanted to provide information, share with you guys where we are landing as of right now, to give you opportunity to ask any questions that you may need as far as clarifying before this weekend's board meeting, because actually this will be something we're going to vote on. We did a little different this year. We focused strictly on football at this point in time because football is the one that need to have the classifications out as soon as possible so they can work on scheduling in the month of December and at the beginning of the year. The plan is to, once football is done, to look at our other team sports after the first of the year and bring something back to the board in February for our other team sports. So today we're focusing strictly on football.
So they're breaking us up in
classifications,
two pieces, it
moving
looks
forward.
like.
So I'm gonna ask Mr. Ozuna if he would share his screen, which has our today's little PowerPoint presentation for you guys. to
Okay.
take a look at.
Let's see if there's anything different compared to what was in
You
the.
can go to the next slide, Mr. Ozuna.
Here we go.
And just sharing how we got to where we are, we did conduct a survey. We surveyed coaches of all of our sports. We surveyed ADs, county ADs,
I'm
superintendents.
curious to how many surveys
heads
they
of
got back,
schools.
Chris.
Just tried to gather as much information as we could.
I'm
Every
doubting
time
some
that
of
I've
that.
been out and about, I've asked questions and tried to gather feedback because I knew this was the time of year, or this year was the time that we would need to look at classifications, just trying to gather information. So some of the feedback that we used today is that when looking at the survey, 85% of the respondents felt we should keep districts. About 78% felt that some form of required contest should be part of whatever we do moving forward. Overwhelmingly, district champions.
The required contest, and why the heck are you proposing what's on the thing?
Response from the respondees. But I also heard from folks as I was out that they wanted some autonomy.
Not in this format.
For example, a couple schools are questioning the ranking system this year because they are forced to play teams in their district that have 1-7 and 1-8 records. So because we mandate that they play those games, is negatively impacting their ranking. So they've asked that, can we have some autonomy as far as creating our own schedules? Football is the one sport that doesn't have a championship actual game. So thought about trying to create some excitement in the sport of football because across the country, numbers have been declining with football, and trying to find ways to continue to have those
They
numbers
have gone up in
increase the
Florida.
sport of football. Also want to address schools opting out for independent status. Several of our schools at one point in time 5-6 years ago, it was our smaller schools that was opting out because of enrollment gaps. But more recently, we've seen some of our schools in our larger classifications choosing to go independent instead of playing
Some of them
in
have
the
gone to
state
SSA
series
in
and
the
so
Atlantic
forth.
League.
And we also, every year, we get some of the schools, when you match up 1 versus 8, where there's extensive travel involved, and with the rising cost of
You're
transportation,
creating more with
these are
this.
some
So
things that we want to consider moving forward with the classification proposal for the next cycle. Next slide, Alex. So currently, right now, we have 7 classifications plus rule in football. With the 7 classes plus rule giving us a total of 8. With those 8 classes, each class is divided into 16 districts per region, 16 districts throughout the state, 4 per region, making up the 4 regions. And as far as qualifying for state, the 4 district champions of each region, and then 4 at-large teams advance to the playoffs. Our rule classes look different. We've always considered them a little different as far as classifications are concerned. And right now, they're the only class that does not have a district. They play whoever they want to play, and then rankings.
That has been a common complaint out of the world teams is not having a
series
district
at the end of the season. Next slide, Alex. And here's just a breakdown of the numbers per class. So you look at the rural class, there's 38 total schools in rural this year. And when you look at 1A through 7A, the goal has been in the past.
Here's the thing.
Make sure we had an equal number of teams.
Chris, these numbers are misleading in a way because independent,
so
that doesn't count for the schools that have bailed out of the went to SSA.
Throughout. And then there's the enrollment gaps based on each classification there. But if you look to the bottom, there's 54 schools this past year.
But that doesn't include SSA member schools.
Status and not be part of our state series. Some of those schools have chose to play in a different association, and some of them just chose to have an independent schedule. So that's has been a concern. And then of the 832 schools that we have, total probably 750 being high schools. There's 227 schools that do not have football as an option at their school. Next slide, Alex.
Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
So you break that down. One of the concerns
here you go, ladies and gentlemen.
Schools, and something that we hear constantly when we think about doing something outside of the box is the finding games outside of the district schedule. So one of the things I want to take a look at was looking at our current structure we have in place now. You look at the first column there.
5%. I mean, that should never be that.
So
never.
Looking at the first row across, we had 12 teams that only had 2 teams in their district. So with 2 teams in your district, that means they only had 1 mandated game and had to try to find 9 games throughout the regular season. And so forth, you can see the numbers go around. But if you look at the number of 16 districts for each classification, and you divide that by the 64 teams, there's an average of about 4 teams per district in each of our classifications. There's a few exceptions where we had 14 that had 5 teams in the district. But again, 3 and 2 being the outside of the norm. The norm was 4. So when I looked at that number, about 88% of our schools have been successful finding at least 7 non-district games, excluding the rural class, which the rural class, all 10 or 8 or 9 of their contests that they chose to play were all non-mandated games, but games that they actually reached an agreement with the school in order to play that. This screen here is probably very important because as we had conversations about doing something different than what we've always done in the past, a question that has come up often with some of my former coaching colleagues is that, we need more required games because it's tough to fill out a schedule. But our numbers here reflect that, almost 88% of our schools have successfully found at least 7 non-district games throughout the previous classification cycle that we're in.
This is
next slide, Alex. So basically what I'm proposing is looking for the sport of football of moving to a 5 classification system plus the rule. So we have rule and 1A through 5A. Still have schools that are eligible for state series, divide those into districts. However, not have any mandatory district contests where schools would schedule 8 games in the first 9 weeks of the season.
This is mind-blowing.
10 and 11, the top 4 teams, according to the FHSAA rankings, will compete in the district tournament the weeks of week 10 and week 11. The semifinal games would be, the number 1 seed of the district versus the number 4 seed, number 2 versus number 3. And this would be based on the 8 games that were played, where schools got to choose who they played against and gave them autonomy. That would determine the ranking, and it would fall into suit with what we do in all our other team sports. The district championship game would be week 11. The 2 winners of game 1, the winner of game 1 and game 2 would play for the championship. And the thought was the 2 teams that did not win game 1 or game 2 would meet up during week 11 to secure a 10th game of the season for each of those schools. Next slide, Alex. Which, looking at the numbers, there could be anywhere from 6 to 8 teams in districts. So the thought was any team that was seated outside of the top 4, 5, 6, 7, and so forth, could choose to schedule games against each other. For example, if there are 8 teams in a district, 5 and 8 could play, 6 and 7 could play, week 10, and then switch up for week 11 to get 10 games during the regular season. Or for some of our schools, being with that type of record, they may choose to move on to winter sports, where there's not as much overlap with the fall sports and the winter sports, so could choose to move on. What I'm also asking from the board, and it's in policy, but want to reiterate it to the board, is that I have the authority as executive director to administratively assign a member school to the next classification lower than or higher than the classification to which they would otherwise be assigned for geographical isolated areas into classification.
This is currently not in the place asking for this, so I agree with having at least being able to move teams up and down if he can.
However, looking at what has happened over the past couple of years, we've had some teams having to travel 4 or 5 hours for a game when we could have possibly did some things, put them in a district that was closer, but also some feedback that I got from some folks was giving me the flexibility to look at some of those isolated areas. And our panhandle schools are some of our schools in that area where the larger schools, the next closest school might be in Jacksonville. So the thought may be to either put them in a lower class than what their enrollment number would have them in, to put them around more schools, or to create sub-regions within a class or a region that would allow closer transportation and travel issues, to eliminate the travel issues, so that they would be a little bit closer to travel. When I get to the next screen, it'll show a little bit, but one of the things that we talked about too, and had some discussion with a partial group of former classification committee members and a couple of others that
I don't understand why we don't have a full classification committee that's permanent.
The thought was to
never
not have the same number of districts per class, but base the number of districts within a class on the number of schools that are participating. So when you look at the rural class and 1A and 2A, where their numbers, we can see on the next screen, are smaller, have less districts in those classes. But when we get to the larger classes, where there's more schools in those classes, to allow more districts in those classes. So
what I tell you right now,
1A, if we have, you can go to the next screen, Alex. I think that pulls up
real quick. We have more.
Here's what the numbers
on YouTube than they do right now.
Classes plus rural. So, for example, in 1A, with it being 49 schools, there's really not a point to have 16 districts with only 49 schools. So in that class, the number may be 8 districts throughout the whole state, 2 in each region, to make up the 8 districts of that state. But when you get to 5A, where there's 136 schools, 16 districts definitely would be a number to keep from having 10, 12 schools within a
I still don't know if this is gonna.
But the key to looking at these numbers, how they ended up where they are, we were looking at enrollment gaps and trying to make sure that the enrollment gaps were not too large in some of the smaller classes, where it was a comfortable number that we felt was safe for our kids to participate.
We're not even addressing the other elephant in the room, and then
you get those middle classes, large classes. If you look at
there's
136 schools, there's only a 500 student difference between the possibly the smallest school in that class and the largest school in that class. And you get to 5A, the 4,627. That is a extreme outlier. Most of our schools are in that 2,100 to possibly 3,000 student enrollment number. But that 4,627 is just one of our schools.
The world class.
So looking at the five classification plus rule as a proposal for classifications moving forward in support of football, this would give you an example of what the numbers could look like. Again, the numbers that we used here are based on the last classification, FTE plus the non-traditional student counts to get to this point, but just want to give you a picture of what that looked like as far as enrollment gaps plus the number of schools per class moving forward. I think, Alex, that's sort of the proposal right now, and I'll be more than happy to entertain any questions, clarifications that folks may have, but just wanted to share it with y'all, talk through it, hear from me, address any questions that board members may have before going into this weekend's board meeting.
Here we go.
Will we be able to see this PowerPoint? Only because I'm driving and I have my TV off. Can you send this to us?
Yes, sir. I can send it to you as well.
I'm going to see if I can get a copy of that PowerPoint as well. Middle school, MS means.
Greg, I have a question.
Okay.
Hey, Chris,
you made a statement about the schools, like the big schools that are independent. Has there been any conversations with them on why they chose that? I'm assuming it's because of the district they were in.
Chris, mute your microphone for a moment.
Nature of it.
Yes. For example, in Orange County, close by you, talking with Lonnie Flores and some of the schools there, they just couldn't compete with the schools in the district that are in Orange County there. So what has created in Orange County is basically a conference, and they have their a top tier, they have a medium tier, then they have a lower tier within the county, and most of those schools that chose to go independent, they were just trying to keep the football program alive. So they chose to go independent, and those lower schools play against each other, and whoever they can get games scheduled against, just so they can keep football at their school.
Yeah, and was there anybody from and again, I'm familiar with that, with being close to Orange County. Was there anybody from kind of that group, in that group that you spoke to? Would they come back with a new classification proposal, or would they continue to stay independent because they're now controlling their narrative?
My thoughts are they'll come back. When I spoke with Lonnie, that Flores there, that was one of the thoughts. If they did not have to play a district schedule, they could play whoever they want to play. It would be appeasing to come back. And the thing that I like about where we are, where we landed, is sort of compromise of what both sides wanted. There's a group that wanted to be able to create their own schedule and have that autonomy and place teams that they compete against. And then there's a group that also wanted some mandatory games. So with the district tournament at the end, it aligns us with what we do with all our other team sports. As a former football coach, I would love to have know going into a game, this was a district championship game. You get that type of feeling, at the end of the ball game, trophy is going to be presented, as opposed to a couple times we were district champs. I was home watching the news to see that somebody lost, and that made me the district champ. So I was not able to celebrate with my team or my players and so forth. So that's a thought. And even for those schools, like I say, in the Orange County area, and Dade County has, I think, 8 to 10 down in their area. A school in Broward County, one of our largest schools in Broward County, just sent us an email a little while ago that they're looking to go independent next year, when their baseball team is probably one of the tops in the country, so to speak. So it's trying to find a way that works best for all of our member schools, where everybody's not getting everything, but at least they're getting a portion of what we want, and something that I think can bring some excitement to football here in the state of Florida.
Thank you.
Greg, I got a couple questions, maybe something to clarify for the group. So I'm assuming the plan with you being able to manipulate how many districts are in each classification, if we implement the district championship little tournament that we're talking about at the end of the season, I'm assuming you guys would make a point to make sure there's more than 4 teams in a district across the board, if at all possible. Am I correct on that?
Correct. Looking at the numbers and looking at either 8, 12, or 16 districts within a classification, our numbers would be anywhere from 6 to 8, based on those numbers.
All right, yeah, that's what I
Geez,
thought. I
about
just wanted
time
to
for that, to
clarify
be
that
honest.
for the
Why can't
group.
we have done that years ago?
And
Manipulate
then
it a little
that,
bit.
that kind of answers my
grief.
next question. So it
Seriously.
would be the top 4 in
Right,
that
Chris?
in that playoff structure. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So my second question is, can you so assuming there's an even number of teams, say 6, then within that district, everybody could play 10 games if they chose to. So that the 2 that are left out can play week 10, and the losers of the first game can pair off and play somebody else in week 11 if they chose to. Have you given any thought to if there's any odd number districts and how you guys can help if someone wanted to play 10? Some people may not care about playing 10.
Definitely something we thought about. So it could be a round robin type deal where if there's 3 teams left, trying to get them to play against each other, or pair them up with the district that's close by to them, where that might have an odd number. Our goal is if someone will play 10 games, we will do our best to help them find those 9th and 10th games. But again, just trying to get some autonomy back to our schools with rankings being where they are and how important they are with seating and so forth. It's hard to argue. I don't have an answer when someone asks me, you're requiring me to play these 4 games or these 3 games, and there are teams that does not help my rankings at all. They actually hurt me. Again, the school I talked about ranked in the top 10. First 3 or 4 games of the season got in district play, and all of a sudden they're now 15th, 16th in the class when they're 8-1 at this point, winning the games by 50, 60 points. But because of the quality of opponents that they're playing, that we're requiring in their district, it's having a negative impact on their rankings.
Well, and it's really interesting because you get folks on both sides of that fence, some that are mad that they don't have district play because of the whole scheduling thing, but then you have the people that are complaining because it's hurting their rankings. So, this kind of does a good job of maybe helping with both of those. And the last thing is any information that that you can provide about moving forward with the fit where it pertains to this, I think would be good at some point with this group.
And with that, looking at the numbers, I think the 135 fit would be done a little bit differently if we chose to continue moving forward with that. I think looking at the numbers we have in,
I don't understand why we're moving forward
classes
this year.
the
To
rule
start
and
with.
1A
Oh,
possibly
goodness.
could combine together to have a fit tournament with 4A and 5A having 134 schools each in that. I think they need their own fit separately if those schools chose to be a part of it. So we would have to play around with it, but I definitely could see I would get away from having having a fit by themselves and combine them with 1A because their enrollment numbers are about the same. And actually, the 1A numbers are a little bit less than projected than what the rule numbers are as far as the top of their enrollment gap.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Greg, I have another question. Oh, somebody else can go.
You go first. You're more eloquent than I am.
Nobody's ever told me that I was eloquent, so thank you. I remember back when we first started doing where there was lots of conversation on how coaches can manipulate their schedule to get into the playoffs. This was probably like 2015-ish or something like that. We went away from that, and then we got to the rankings. So if I'm in a district of 8 and I'm 5, but because my district's loaded, this is just I'm just throwing it out there. Why would I want to play somebody who's 8?
I agree.
Hurt my ranking to potentially get in. Was that, where I'm going now? Like, was that a discussion with that group?
There's been some talk about that. One of the things that you'll hear more about later on is with the Max Preps, with Max Preps taking over and doing rankings for us. Max Preps has done football rankings, and we've always you probably heard the different hate stories about the rankings and they're inaccurate and so forth. This year, different than last year. Last year, the Ned Friedman model out of California was what Max Preps used for football rankings. They went away from that this year, so the rankings are a little bit different this year. However, the Play On Corporation purchased Max Preps. speaking with Mark Kowski, who's in charge of the network, has talked with various states, including Florida, to give them what we want in our ranking. So part of the survey was asking, what do you ranking 5 or 6 categories? What's most important in the ranking? So my plan is, once we get classifications done, to get together with football coaches at the advisory committee meeting and some others and come up with, what do we want in our rankings? What do we want? Do we want your record, regular season record, to be the highest weight in the rankings? Or do you want strength of schedule? Because, I'm playing against tougher competition. I
Chris,
might go 4-4 and somebody else is 8-0, but I played tougher competition where my schedule, strength of my schedule, is going to boost me up a little bit higher or give me more points than rankings. We looked at head-to-head. So ask those questions, because I'm trying to gather information where I can share that with Play On and Max Preps to create a ranking that does what we wanted to do here in the state of Florida. Right now, we've asked for, they're doing it for us, and ours is a little bit different, but the only difference is they use their percentages and weights, but they just take out, the forfeits and so forth. So it's a little different than what the actual Max Preps is, where we're looking to actually create our own ranking system, like a couple other states have reached out to Max Preps, and theirs is tailored to what they want, weighted the way they want it to be weighted, so that we can have a more accurate reflection of what we want. So you won't have that situation. It won't penalize the school for playing a tougher schedule, so to speak, where playing a tougher schedule can reward you. You get more points if you win those games, of course, because winning is important, but you won't get penalized as heavily for playing a tougher.
We keep getting a new format every 2 years. Zach's right, Chris.
Thank you.
If you want to chime in,
Craig,
here, Chris.
I reserve a lot of comments because I gotta let this thing simmer a little bit. But I do think if you're not in the top 4, some schools are going to struggle to be able to find 2 more games. Just the life of an AD down here.
He's right. He's right. He's right about this, Chris.
On both sides of that. It looks like this model increases the district championships across the state, some more opportunities for teams to have district championships. Would that be a correct assumption?
I should be less, because we have less classes. So we're going from, again, 8 classes down to 6 classes. So there would be the champions.
I think a lot
I
of
understand. So now we're doing less district.
I think Zach's right. We're a lot of schools struggle
basing 5A, 4A off school enrollments, which means the same schools are going to basically win state championships.
Exactly.
Again, I got to let this whole thing simmer a little bit more, but I'm not a big proponent of school enrollment being a heavy deciding factor in
thank you, somebody. Yes, thank you.
7A, 2A being 5A.
Thank you.
Some schools, not all schools.
Thank you. It shouldn't be the only deciding factor. Thank you.
Our seats are limited. We cannot get kids in.
Thank you, Thomas Kenneth. Thank you.
Other schools that
thank you
or 2,000 can, and so it's just different across the board, and to have that as a major factor in classification in the model of this, I don't know. I got summer. Then, have you guys thought about, and I've talked to you about this before, running this model through AI and seeing what it would have looked like the past 5 years? I've done a lot of that.
Come on,
over the past several weeks.
Use your tools.
Based
use
off
your
rankings,
tools.
what the districts would look like, what the regions would look like. I even inputted all the addresses of every school in the state of Florida and did a travel comparison for all the regions and what the playoffs would have looked like based off rankings from our state rankings and from the regular traditional max prep rankings. It'll take about a day or so, but you guys could model this thing out for AI.
Yes,
please. And we can see what it would look like for the past 5 years.
Do it.
We did look at, due to GeoBatch, we did look at 7A, 6A, 6 classes, 8 classes, 7 classes.
Run it through AI.
And down to where we are now. On the map, the issue with the state of Florida is when you go out on I-10, there's not a whole lot of big
geographical BS here. I get it.
That way.
Here we go.
You get to the Pensacola, Okaloosa County, Pensacola area for the largest class. The next closest school that size is possibly the Jacksonville or.
Come on, no.
didn't matter
Well,
what
forget the school
size class,
size.
how many classes
Forget
we
it.
had, that issue is not going to
Forget
go
it.
away because along I-10, they're just not building large schools out that way. We threw some stuff in, at least I threw some stuff in the AI with schools to see what it would look like, and
You can't
schools
keep going by school population.
a little differently.
It's not.
When I think about football, in the number of classes that we've had in football, being a former football coach, I feel it's watered
This
down.
doesn't solve the entire issue. It doesn't solve
with
the entire
64
issue.
schools
Chris,
in
you
the
want to jump in?
class,
Chris, I
and
don't hear
32
you.
making the playoffs. 50% of
This
our
is
teams
crazy.
making the playoffs. When you see those first round games where it's running clock,
I'm really trying to
teams
wrap
can
my
beat
head
by
around
50 or
this.
60 points that probably shouldn't be in the playoffs, probably should be another route as a thought. Trying to think of the other comments that you made.
I just think that
I think the open division, because that
I think
starts
Thomas
next year,
Kenneth
is
had the
going
most
to help
sense
with
here
some of the
so
schools
far
that
this
always win.
so far this
So the Craig Damon High Schools that's won 7 state championships in a row, doesn't matter what class I was in, I'll be pulled out and put in that open division next year. So I think the open division will help with some
Of course,
of
here we
these
go. Mandatory
guys,
open
schools
division.
that have won 4, 5, 6 state championships in a row.
I don't think
so.
this is that.
Everything for me,
I'm cringing.
basically goes back to rankings, and you talked about distance in the panhandle. Yeah, it did. There's a couple schools in the models that had 3-4 hour trips, but then what you do is you had the autonomy to do subregions. And so what I did is instead of 4 regions, I did 8 regions. And then the first round's game travel decreased. So there's just a couple of thoughts. I have a tough time with
here.
The classification is just basically being built off school enrollment, because not every school's 2,000 is the same, or 500 is the same.
Well, I wish the Board of Directors could hear our
private versus public's not the same. So I'll let this simmer, and I'll bring some of my notes for all the stuff I did. Just so the board know, I did mine. One model was past 5 years based off the max prep rankings, not the Florida rankings. And, in the top classification based off rankings, only 4 teams were in that same classification over the past 5 years. So there was a lot of movement in and out of every classification just based off rankings, which gave more teams opportunities to play for a championship. Those are my thoughts.
Ms. Ken, if I can respond, in a perfect model, if I thought that we could get what our coaches to agree to it, we would use a model that
you can't use
where
enrollment numbers as the basis strictly for classification.
Season, you rank you put you in classes based on your rankings. And we're in the state of Florida with our ability with school choice to move schools at any point in time, non-traditional kids to play back and forth. And I might play football at school A and fall underneath the non-traditional account at school A, but then move to basketball at school B and then baseball at school C, when I'm sort of counted in 3 different places and so forth. So with our ability with school choice of kids to move mobility wise and the non-traditional participation, it makes it extremely hard in the state of Florida to look at anything besides enrollment, unless you go to something where play whoever you want to play, and we'll put you in classes at the end of the season. If we ever could get our coaches to agree to something like that, I think that's probably the only way that we can get to where it's apples to apples, so to speak. And
okay, I understand we can't make everybody happy. You're not ice cream, but you got to figure out something that's going to work for at least 75 to 80%
until we
of
can
the
get
schools.
to where we would agree in the state that that's something that we want to look at. It sort of made it hard to get away from just strictly enrollment. But trust me, we looked at is I examined as many states and what they do as we possibly could. It's just Florida, we're just unique in our education structure. We're so much farther ahead of them as far as choice is concerned that it makes it a little bit difficult to take one of their proposals and put in place.
I don't know. This is just.
Craig, can you clarify if we were to move forward with this and the district tournament, so to speak, whatever we want to call it, how the playoffs would be determined from that?
Once the district tournament is determined, the district champions would automatically qualify for the playoffs, and then the next 4 or the next number of at-large teams per region will qualify and fill in the bracket. So you'll still be seated similar to what we have in place now. It would just be an actual district championship game. People would know that, okay, this game tonight is for the district championship. It's not, well, so-and-so's playing crosstown. If I win, I'm district champs. If they lose, I'm district champs, or whatever else. We would actually know that this is a championship game, and you have a championship type atmosphere.
And for clarification on us in rural that have never had district champions, are we saying the district champion would automatically host the first round, or is it going to go straight to rankings at that point?
The way it's been put in place so far, the district champs, and even that was something that was part of the surveys, the respondents felt that the district champs should host that first round. We should not take that away, and then it goes to seeding the higher seed after that point in time.
Thank you.
But I think you bring up a great point, Bobby. That's something new for the rural class. I think, the rural class has had district champions there for a while, and that's something that a school can mark down as an accomplishment. Winning a district championship, getting the banner in the gym or a trophy in the locker room or so forth is something that we have not provided for our schools in the rural class. If you didn't win the state championship or the regional championship, there really wasn't no accomplishment for you except for making the playoffs. So this is something that our rural schools will get to experience that are similar to other classifications.
Yeah, rural has never had district champions, so that would be good for them.
Mm-hmm.
Greg, can I ask another question?
Of course you can.
So just kind of piggybacking off of what Bobby was talking about. So if you're a 1A school and there's only 8 districts in our whole class because of numbers, are you still taking 32 teams to the playoffs, or is it truncated down because there's only 8 classes? Does that make sense?
It does. The thought right now is to continue taking 32. The rural class might be one that we may look at a different number just based on the number.
You can't take 32 in 1A either if you're going to shrink the number of districts. Sorry.
But the other 5 classes will still take 32.
No, it doesn't make sense.
So inside of a region, there's 2 districts,
gracious.
2 district champions, and you would have a lot of at-large teams moving.
Could have a lot of large. And that's something we can talk about, in operations on Sunday. If 32 is too many for 1A based on the
I think I know where I need to be on Sunday. I need to be at that.
Yeah, I think about the last time we went through this, and I can hear Shelton yelling, "You got to talk about the playoffs before you talk about districts." So that popped into my mind while Bobby was talking about that. And I'll say, I've talked to you about this multiple times, Craig. I agree. I think our state is very different, and I would be a huge proponent of.
Well, yes, our state's different.
Having sub-regions throughout our state, which I think checks the traveling potential issues, no classifications, play or schedule required, region or sub-region games, and then the rankings would populate the bracket. That's not where I think we're going right now. But I think that would kind of massage all the issues that people have on one side of the fence or the other.
Yeah. And again, just trying to be responsive to our membership and membership requests, trying to get out and hear, the pros and cons of everything, and trying to figure, at the end of the day, we got to make a decision on what's best moving forward. And we always can adjust, but trying to think outside of the box with some of our thoughts that we went in, as opposed to not just doing the same thing we've been doing just to say, roll it out, because we could have very easily just said, okay, continue with rural +7 and roll out with, I think we hit 12 2-team districts, that number. And that's not, 1 and 9 gets, I could be 1 and 9, win the 1 district game and be in our state playoffs. No. I think we want here in the state of Florida.
Right.
Greg, if I could clarify a little, just something that when we've had these discussions, a couple things that were really important to the group that was involved. One was giving Mr. Damon some freedom to make some decisions, such as sub-regions, such as moving teams from one class to another, whatever, because they have the ability with that freedom to solve a few of the issues that are out there that as of now, they've not had the freedom to do so. The second thing was, trying to increase the number of teams in these districts and make the districts larger, which meant that you can't treat every classification the same. So that was the thought process behind some classifications are going to have more districts than other classifications, because you want some bigger districts, especially if we're going to play the district tournament, so to speak, at the end. You need more teams in there. You can't do that with 2 or 3 teams in a district. So just kind of thinking outside the box that we can't we kind of treat football different from the other sports. I think at this point we've got to start treating each classification maybe a little bit different from the others, to be able to give them the ability to make this step forward a little bit better for everybody. So I just wanted to try to clarify that a little bit.
Other questions? And again, just trying to get as much information to you guys so you can have some things to think about going into this weekend's board meeting. Write down questions that you may have for the operations committee or for the full board meeting on Monday before we vote. But just, again, wanted you to hear from me, answer any questions that you may have, but just trying to be responsive to what our membership wants as far as moving forward in the sport of football.
Goodness, I don't think this answers everything. And you notice Chris, you notice there's some people on here that are not even chiming in at all.
That might be it. I'll turn it back over to you.
No, I appreciate it. And I just
It
want to
seems
say
like they're
from,
dead set on this.
conversations that we have had, Craig, I just appreciate very much the pre-work that you've done with those around the state.
This is not solving
formulating the plan that you brought
I was
forth
hoping
today.
2 to 3,
and not doing it in isolation. So I just appreciate that. And just again, just listening to the discussion here with this group, just I'll just say from me, it inspires me to listen to all the good feedback and conversation.
Listen to the people on the
happens here.
outside.
So if there's nothing else, just thank you all for your time and happy Wednesday.
Oh, geez.
Are we done?
I don't know. It seems like it's stalled out. Is it still live or what's going on? It's now all of a sudden seems like the feed has stalled. I'll find out in a moment here if it's still live or not. Give me 1 second.
I know.
It's all of a sudden it has stalled here. So I'm gonna find out. You know what? See, they may have ended it. It shows it's still live. Why? Yep. They just clicked in basically on it because it's showing. Yeah.
Oh man, I tell you what.
You know what? I'll just go ahead and bring this off.
Like I said in the chat, it just reminds me of the Benny Hill theme song on repeat.
Oh yeah. Give me 1 second here, and we'll yeah. Let's see. Yeah. This is. I'm trying to really. We need a moment here, don't we?
Yeah. Oh my goodness! I don't know what I just listened to.
I don't know either. I'm sitting here like, what the heck did we just listen to? But let's give me a second here, and we're gonna. Hopefully, YouTube don't come after me for this. But, oh man.
I don't think they will.
I'm in.
Yeah, that's what it does. That's the gist of the whole thing.
That's what it feels like. I'm just I don't know where to begin. By the way, I got a text message from Jamie Rogers, the head coach at Bradford, during as we were this was coming to an end here on this one, and I got to tell you, he says can't take 32 when only 40 teams in the whole class. Why we have to have some people at the committee meeting. At this point, I think I really need to be able to plan for Sunday. At this point, what was the most important takeaway from this meeting?
Oh man!
Hold on. What's the most important meeting to take away from this meeting? Let me do that again.
Yeah.
I'm trying not to laugh because I feel like I'm in a goose chase here trying to figure out this whole thing.
The most important thing is they're dead set in their way with this tournament thing, and that's the problem.
The problem is that there's several issues that need to be. Mark Cannon's laughing. Thank you, Mark. I'm glad y'all are getting a good chuckle out of this because honestly, this is what it feels like. We're chasing. We're in a goose chase here. The problem in this is this. It's
they're dead set in this way, and I don't like it.
There's too many things here. There's too many issues going on here that it's.
What they don't realize is with this whole format is causing more problems with scheduling.
Absolutely, it's going to cause more problems with scheduling. It's going to cause more problems down the line. And you know what, Zach? You may be right. In another 2 years, will be another format. In another 2 years, there will be another format. When does the insanity end? When does it end? When does the insanity end?
This is the third format in 6 years.
Well, we were it was 1A through 8A before before COVID and during COVID, and then right after COVID, and then we went to Metro Suburban, and Metro Suburban only lasted 2 years, and now we're back to 1A through 7A in rural based upon just student enrollment, and here we go again. You're not addressing some of the elephants in the room. Why are we not addressing a tournament success factor? All right, because right now I'll tell you what it is going to happen. I'll tell you exactly what it doesn't address the issue of teams right now. I'm going to tell you right now. Okay, let's go to the. I'm going to call up the FHSAA power rankings right now. All right. If they're hell bent on taking only 8 teams into the open division, and that's what they want to do, I can tell you right now, based upon the rankings, and I don't know if there's going to be much change after this. All right, let's start with this. All right. Your 8 teams that would be right now seeded into the open division based upon the power rankings on right here on the FHSAA. Vero Beach, Cardinal Mooney, Miami Northwestern, Lakeland, DeLand, Behold, Chaminade, Madonna, Armwood. All right. Chaminade finally in the top 8. All right, that's one team. St. Thomas Aquinas, who's looking at potentially going 7 straight this year. That's another one right there. Miami Northwestern, yeah, okay. It doesn't address every single issue of dealing with these teams that are consistently winning state championships year in, year out, regardless of what the classification number is behind them.
Yeah.
It's not addressing the issues.
This open division thing, I don't like it. I don't know what to think of it now because it doesn't solve anything.
What I like about what Mr. Kenneth said, let's go ahead and address Mark Cannon's comment here. What do I like about what Mr. Kenneth said is because the thing is that you can't strictly go by the enrollment numbers. You can't. I could handle this.
That's what they're trying to do here.
You go strictly by the enrollment numbers. The problem is you've got when a lot of schools allow you to for open enrollment to move around and open seats. All right. Okay, if kid lives, okay, I'm just going to use an example. I'm going to use my own backyard. All right. Okay, if I'm a student, if you got students that, you got Gainesville High, you got Buchholz, you got Eastside. Okay, the three high schools in the city. All right, each one's got a boundary. Each one's got a boundary limit. All right, all right. So let's just let's. I'm gonna go to this here because that way I can pull this. So I'm not like talking out of my butt here, so to speak. Let's pull up Buchholz's numbers here. I'm gonna pull up Buchholz. Okay, Buchholz. This is where it's saying Buchholz of last school year had 2,424 students. All right, GHS, Eastside, they're both way under that number. Gainesville High. We'll go to that one. Gainesville High, 1836. All right, and then Eastside, I want to say, was around 1,200 or 1,300 and 1,295. All right. Okay, Buchholz may not have any seats. I'm at GHS, but I want to go to Buchholz. All right, well, no, I'll end up at Eastside because I want to play at Eastside because I don't like what's going on at GHS, blah, blah, blah. The problem is this. You're just counting those numbers when the kids are moving in and out. Okay, if I'm zone GHS and my zone is GHS, but I transfer the East Side. East Side's just counting me as a normal student based upon the enrollment numbers. They're not counting me as someone. Hey, I'm outside your zone. Never mind a school like Eastside. You also have to maybe should be documenting. Hey, a school like Eastside has the IB programs here. One of the IB programs here. I have the students there in the population. They may play sports, but minor sports like tennis, golf. They're not playing football. They're not playing basketball. They're not playing the big team sports. You have to start figuring these things out. We're not addressing, the FHSAA is not addressing certain issues that is sitting in the room. You're going after classification, but you're not going after the playoff format. You've got to fix the playoff format with the classification stuff. You've got to do it at the same time. You've got to bring it all at once.
Yeah, and that's the problem with this whole thing. There's no clarification on the playoff format whatsoever.
There's no clarification. You're saying, okay, well, we can flex the numbers around as to how many districts are going to be per classification. Okay, great. Why has this not been brought up years ago? Because it should have been done years ago. It's just like, all right, you know what? Okay, so because I see this in other states where they do this. All right, so the largest class may have say 12 districts, but the next class down may only have 8 or 10. Why are we not flexing these numbers out? That's the problem I'm having with all this.
Yeah.
But Thomas Kennett is right. It can't just be about just student enrollment numbers altogether. Zach is right. It can't just be about student enrollment.
You have to have in this state. You have to have some kind of merit system with these schools, like Chaminade and Donna, getting in 1A.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And by the way, here we go. Mike Edwards, it's not going to pop up in the chat here, but he did comment. Mike Edwards on X, he says, this proposal caters directly to the smaller private schools, 130 schools, 6, and the age of the top 2 classifications is ridiculous. Put the private schools in their own classes. All right, that's well said. I feel like when you put, here's the problem. 136, all right. You know what? Let me see if I can go back to the feed here. Give me a second here as I go to do that. I'm going to pull up the feed since they're basically done with this whole live thing. They just basically signed it off and all that. I'm gonna mute this. All right, let's see. Actually, I'm gonna share the screen here. I'm back again here. So give me 1 second here to do that. I'm gonna share it. Because that way we can look back at everything here. We can go back on this and take a look at it here. Let's see.
They're just not addressing everything. That's the problem.
Yeah. All right. Share. I'm going to go ahead and bring this up for us. All right. Okay. So some of the things that they talked about here, we'll just go through it here. With the stuff here, obviously this gives my first thing about this. When we go back on this, Chris, this is where I have some issues. What is the feedback on the survey? Were they football coaches? Were they all football coaches on this survey? How many coaches responded? What's the breakdown?
There's no clarification on that.
I got some big questions on that. I really do have some big questions on this. 85%. Hold on, why is it still playing? Hold on, let me fix that because let me pause this here. Okay, 85% say keep districts. 78% said some form of required required contest. District champs qualify for state series, autonomy, creating their own schedule. So here's the thing. Some form of required contest. Well, this doesn't require a form of required contest. This throws it right out the door. Okay, so basically, you're going against what the survey said here.
This survey is not really addressing anything. The reason that coaches want the autonomy of creating their own schedule, but they don't want so many games that they have to find. So district play solved a lot of this.
Right. I nominate Josh for commissioner of football for the high school football. I gotta give a round of applause for that.
Yeah. It doesn't. People, they want districts. They want district play, but they don't want these small districts. That's the other problem that they did not address.
No, and this is the problem. There's several big issues, but the autonomy of creating their own schedule. So which way do you want it? Do you want the required contest, or do you want the autonomy of creating their own your own schedule? Which is it? Because you can't have both. You can't have some form of required contest and being able to have the autonomy to create their own schedule. You can't have both. This is the problem here. All right. So, okay, you're complaining about the ranking. Well, you have to play these teams because you're required to in the district, and it drags down your ranking. Well, you know what? Easy. You know what? We can also start. You know what? What did he say? AI should be help. Yes, he said use AI to help look at this a little bit. And you know what? You know what? I do use a little bit of AI myself to help me with some things, and AI would help.
This goes back to my thinking earlier when we first started. I told you if they did like a 12 district format, each classification, you take the top 2 teams in each district and they automatically qualify for the playoff. That values the district schedule.
Yeah, that
also eliminates the need to find a lot of games.
No,
that also eliminates this absurd ranking system. But it also allows the other teams, if you want to keep that ranking system, allow the 2 at-large teams in each region.
I mean, and this is, and then Jamie Rogers, go back to Jamie Rogers' text message to me during this. I could go, he's talking about going to the meeting, so we may be getting some coaches that are going to be there come Monday morning for the board of directors meeting. But there is the committee meeting, especially with operations and governance, with the committee meetings on Sunday. I'm going to see what I can do to work into my schedule for that to get there, because I feel like this is going to go on. And my goal for Monday is this. This is my goal for Monday. Board meeting. As soon as I get back from the board meeting, have some lunch, be whatever, how long that board meeting takes. I have a feeling this board meeting may go long. All right.
Yeah.
I have a feeling this board meeting could go long because of this particular thing. All right. By the way, this whole proposal has bypassed the entire football advisory committee. By the way, this also has bypassed the athletic director advisory committee. This is just a straight shot right in. Never mind.
Yeah, they're not even giving any other proposal. That's the problem with this.
Where's the other? Where's option 2? Where's option 3? I want to see other options. Where's option 2? Where's option 3? This is only one. And I remember specifically at the last board meeting, Craig Damon said, "Well, come with you with several options." This is one option. This is not multiple options. Where are the other options?
They're not giving you the option. That's the problem.
I have a problem with this when you say you're going to give options, but we don't have the option. So this is the pigeonhole where we're going to be forced into this option here, and this is not the option. I have a feeling this whole thing's going to get deconstructed pretty quickly on Sunday before it even hits the board meeting on Monday morning for the full board to really go at. I'm so fired up.
You're creating the Craig Damien doesn't understand that you're creating more issues with scheduling by adding to the eight game non-district schedule.
And this is what, and you know what makes this. I mean, Craig is a former football coach himself, a very successful football coach himself. This is what I'm confused about, because I mean, we get it. Okay, the time was different when you were a head coach down at North Marion for those years. I get that. All right, I get it that we have school choice involved, but we're not dealing with the tournament success factor of anything here for these teams. The open division is not going to solve that for every single team. I mentioned this again. Let's talk about this again. Who are the 8 teams right now, based upon the format that was voted upon by the FHSAA Board of Directors last year, that, for the open division, they still got to hash out on? Who are the 8 teams right now that would go to that open division bracket? Vero Beach, Cardinal Mooney, Miami Northwestern, Lakeland, DeLand, Buchholz, Chaminade Madonna, Armwood. All right. Of those teams, who has played for the state championship in the last, say, going back to 2021 or 2022? Let's go back to the last 4. Let's go back to the last 3 years before this. Cardinal Mooney, state championship, 2023. Miami Northwestern, last year. Lakeland, they've been in the state championship game. They've been in the state championship game. So, okay. DeLand, we haven't heard from them being in a state championship game in a long time. All right. Buchholz, same situation. State semifinals 4 consecutive years. Okay. Chaminade Madonna would be looking at their 9th or 10th straight had they not lost the 2020 game in 3A to Trinity Christian. Armwood hasn't played for a state title in quite a while. Some deep playoff runs. But again, where's St. Thomas Aquinas at? Nowhere close here. I mean, you start to okay, the Miami Centrals, where Miami Central is, over the last decade, they've won more state titles than we can count. I
don't even see St. Thomas Aquinas in this.
St. Thomas Aquinas is way down in the rankings right now. I mean, this is where it's bothersome. I just
Miami Central, nowhere to be seen. St. Thomas Aquinas is 64th.
And that's the problem I'm having with this. It's really, but autonomy of creating their own schedule generate excitement. Well, excitement's not here right now. Not with the format that we've got. Not with the districts we got. The districts are basically the districts are basically in my opinion they're basically this. Let me find it here. Okay, so you got that issue. Address schools opting for independent status. Well, the problem is a lot of these schools wouldn't go independent if you would just handle the situation of these teams that can keep winning district championships and state championships, making deep playoff runs, handling open enrollment. Okay, get that. You've got to handle this where, okay, a lot of schools, these kids are not going to be playing in their zone. You've got to look at that and put a number to it somewhere, looking like, okay, all right, if my school has 2,500 students, but 500 of the kids are from out of zone, there needs to be some kind of multiplier put on that.
And there has to be some kind of merit system for these schools that keep winning to go up a classification or 2.
I mean, that's the problem. You don't think more teams will go independent or join a new conference? I'll tell you this. A lot of teams will. There's going to be teams that are going to apply to go to the Sunshine State Athletic Association. Not every team's going to get in. The SSA has a process of voting, yes for schools or no for schools. All right, they tell some schools no, and there are some schools that are going to be told no. And there's some schools that have struggled that are going to be told yes.
This is not fair to these schools that are going independent either, because they don't have the option to play in a playoff system.
Correct. And I just don't know if this is going to solve. It's not going to solve anything. I feel like this is going to create more headaches, more issues, and I just. Anyways, let me get to the next part on this here. And so right now, okay. So right now, this is the model that we have right now. So 7 classes plus rural, 8 total classes, 16 districts per region, 4 regions, 4 district champs, 4 at large per region. Rural class, no district contest. They're doing a 1 through 16 seeding in that with that classification right now. This is we all know it's too much. We've been ad nauseum about it all season. I mean, when you've got 41, 42 teams in 1A and you're taking 32 teams, it's rather sickening because you've got way more teams that have losing records that are going into the playoffs or going to be right at 500. 500 doesn't bother me, especially if you played a good strength of schedule. The problem is when you get teams that are only have 1, 2 wins and they're sliding into the playoffs.
Yeah.
That's
the
where
teams that have 3-7 records and 2-8 records and only have 1 or 2 district games and they get in.
It's just ridiculous. But that's the format right now that we've got right here. All right, so based upon this is what we've got right now. 64 count. Some of these numbers in a rural first class model, some of these numbers are what they're right now based upon what this is. These numbers I question because 3A only counts 61 schools right now. 1A, unless they're based upon all the schools right now, they're looking at all the schools right now based upon, and you got the schools that are in the SSAA that have gone. I don't know how they came up with this with these numbers, where they drew them from, because right now, based upon what my data says, this doesn't add up.
No, it did not.
And I have more questions than Carter has liver pills right now. Okay, so this is where we're at. So I'm really bothered by what we're looking at here. I'm just but this, I mean, look at this. This is ridiculous. Number of districts that are 2-team districts. Well, yeah, that number went up significantly when there were teams that dropped that went to the SSAA this past year,
because they can't figure out their own problem.
And then teams in a 3-team district. Well, I mean, that's 18% right there. And then 58%. Well, guess what? No wonder why the system's watered down. Come on, people. I mean, this is why. Come on.
That number is too high. That number is actually too low for scheduling.
It really is. I mean,
it should be not. Your success rate of scheduling at least 7 non-district games. That's a little high to me, to be honest with you. But with
87.5% of schools successfully schedule at least 7 non-district games. Correct. Okay, that should never be 87. That number should never be 87.5%. That number should not even be 95%. That number should be 100%. Every team in this state should have the ability to get at least 10 games on their schedule. When teams can't get games on their schedule and you reduce it by 1, that's 1 less opportunity for every student, for every kid to get game film and to get their stats out there and to get recruited by colleges, regardless of the division level. I have a problem with that. I have a serious problem with that. We are not addressing, and I asked Craig Damon at the last board meeting, okay, what about a classification meeting? He's like, oh, we already did that. The problem is you need a permanent classification committee that looks at these things and will continue to look at these things and continue to study and understand what's going on and look at the various things going on. Georgia has that. I believe Alabama has that. Why is it that our neighbors can get things right, but we seem to can't get it right? I love
the new format. Yeah, the new format is going to cause more problems with this.
I'm not excited about this. This doesn't generate excitement. Because what I'm going to hear is the coaches like, help me find a game. I need a game this week. I need a game that week because this team won't schedule me, or this team won't schedule me, or this team dropped me. We're gonna get to August 1, and X, Y, and Z team. You know why? Because the X, Y, and Z team, because I got 2 kids from their school because they transferred in, they dropped me. That's what I'm gonna hear based on this.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm gonna hear, and I hear it. I've heard it for the last few years, and I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it. And it's not that I don't want to help the coaches. I want to help them, but the problem is this is going to cause, this doesn't resolve issues.
It's creating more problems.
It can't just be based on student enrollment numbers. It doesn't work.
Mark, the reason they don't have an independent playoff is because the FHSAA doesn't care about the independent schools.
I feel like they don't care right now. I mean, you got schools that here. I'm going to give you all a good case example of where things have gone off the rails. Hialeah Miami Lakes, a decorated program that has produced multiple NFL draft picks, a lot of college football players, was one of the top teams in the 70s and 80s. What happened this year? A few games, and they're out. They basically folded up shop before we even got to week 8. Same goes with Western Hialeah. 5 games, they're done. Why? Because they can't build a competitive team. They can't even. They're set up. A lot of these teams that are placed in these districts already, with teams that are powerhouses, the
ranking system for the playoff has caused so many problems that it has caused these schools to go bye-bye.
And then, and never mind the open enrollment, which is exacerbating the whole problem to start with. Okay, I get it that the FHA can't control the open enrollment stuff. All right, I get that. That's state law. What you can do is fix this by putting a tournament success factor in. Okay, if you keep winning state championships, up to the next class automatically.
Mm-hmm.
Dylan, I don't know if that's another problem, meaning it's too many schools being built in an area. I don't know if that's necessarily the issue.
That's not the problem.
That's not the problem. It's the problem is you got open enrollment. You got open enrollment. All right, I understand that's state law. I understand that's going to be around. Okay, I get it. All right, how do you combat? How do you handle that? You put a tournament success factor in. All right, you know what? Should St. Thomas Aquinas be playing in the highest classification in the state right now? Absolutely yes. Absolutely yes. Why are they not in the highest classification?
Should Chairman Madonna be in 4A right now instead of 1A? Yes.
But here's the thing. Shaman and Madonna, by the way, Shaman and Madonna asked to go up to 2A because they knew they were just getting tired of dealing with they were tired of winning in 1A because it wasn't a challenge for them. You get that. It wasn't a challenge for them. They wanted to go up to 2A. The FHA said no because they didn't have Craig Damon said he didn't have the executive authority to move them to 2A. Now he
said he does.
But Chris, but they're going to put it in the rules where you can have that executive authority because he doesn't have it right now. But you have John Carroll.
What did we just hear in this meeting? He said that he does have the power.
You're right. But then you go up I-95, Chris. Go up I-95 from Hollywood all the way up to Fort Pierce, where you got John Carroll, who should be a 1A school, by the way. They request to go up to 4A because of travel issues with their district, and they go granted that because of geographical isolation. Now, John Carroll has succeeded in that 4A classification in their district. Don't get me wrong on that. John Carroll can play up against other bigger schools. Don't get me wrong on that. But the problem is that if you got schools that are saying, hey, we know what we're causing a problem down here, and they know they want to get out of their own way on it and say, hey, let's go to 2A, let's get a little bit more of a challenge, which would have been for them, 2A would have probably been a little bit more challenge. At least you would have been dealing with schools like Cocoa, Cardinal Gibbons, along the way. You know what? That would have been an interesting district. Chaminade Madonna, Cardinal Gibbons, and Hallandale. Oh boy, yeah, that would have been fun to watch.
Oh yeah.
But no. Here's Chaminade Madonna, who's gonna basically ransack 1A again this year. The state championships, right now, the state championships were not fun last year at all, outside of the 4A game.
No, that was not fun to watch. And you and I both, we were both on the sidelines, and only one of those games was exciting.
That was the 4A game between Jones and American Heritage Plantation. That was it. The 1A game against Chaminade Madonna and Clearwater Central Catholic, 42-7. Nothing. That was nothing.
That was
all
not
right,
fun.
The 2A game. Actually, the 2A game was all right. 2A game was all right between Cocoa and Gaston County. There was a fight there. Okay, go to the 3A game. Blowout. Miami North. Washington all over Reigns. Goose egged them. 4A. All right, that was competitive. 5A. Who saw St. Thomas Aquinas goose egg in Lakeland? I didn't. Nobody did. But still, that was not fun. 6A game. West Boca, Osceola. I mean, Osceola had some fight, but Osceola just really couldn't generate going on offense. West Boca shut them down. There wasn't a whole lot of excitement in that situation other than seeing West Boca actually win a state championship. There's excitement there. All right. But the 7A game, oh my goodness. Venice just all over like Mary. There's just no excitement. And you want to talk about excitement, please tell me where the excitement's coming from on some of this. It's not there.
It wasn't even. The Miami Northwestern game wasn't even exciting.
No. And now here we go. Let's talk about the plan here. Rural +5. Why are we not talking about getting rid of the rural classification? Because I'm going to tell y'all right now. You already got Dixie County that's already out. They're leaving. They're leaving the rural class. They're done. They're headed to the SSA Atlantic League next year. That's already been announced. I already know about 4 to 5 other teams that are in the potential of, if they get the approval that they're going to be leaving the rural class too. So what are you going to do? Are you going to increase? Are you going to allow more? Are you going to allow some of these other schools that are, that you've denied for years to be in the rural class to go into the rural class, or not? Are we going to start allowing like Keystone Heights and Interlochen to be part of the rural class? Interlochen, who's also in the SSA Atlantic League, could they be a part of that? I don't know. All I know is
they just need to get rid of the rural class thing because it's not making any. It's not solving anything at the bottom. It's only making it worse.
It really is only making it worse here, and really, it's really making it.
And that's why some of these schools are bolting for the Sunshine and Lake Association.
And there's just not. I just don't know what's going on here. You
get rid of the rural class, maybe this will solve a lot of problems.
The rural, what you're doing, and here's the thing: you're countering to these rural schools. You're catering to the rural schools, but are you catering to the rest of the schools? No. Why are we catering to a small subset of schools here when you're not catering to the rest of the schools? You should be catering to all your programs in the best possible way, and this is not it. All right. Rural +5, 1A through 5A, state series eligible schools divided into districts, no mandatory district contests, schedule 8 games through week 9, basically meaning those teams that like to take a bye week in week 10 and week 11, forget that. That's out the daggone door. You might as well go ahead and pump the brakes on that right now. Top 4 teams according to the FHSAA rankings. So you see Max Preps rankings listed in one thing and FHSAA rankings listed in this. All right, which is it? We got to get a clarification because is it the FHSAA Max Preps rankings or is it Max Preps rankings from maxpreps.com? You've got to be the clear. You got to start clarifying this language a bit better, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
District semifinals, district championship, 10 and 11. This is.
That's absurd.
And then there's this other games, week 10, 11, the other seeded teams, 5, 6, 7, may schedule contests during week 10, 11 to reach the maximum number of contests. The executive director said he would have the authority to administrate assign member schools to the next classification, lower or higher than the classification to which it would be otherwise assigned if the schools are geographically isolated from other schools in the classification to which it would be assigned. Create sub-regions to assist with travel situations as necessary. And then the number of districts within a class will vary based on the number of schools within the class, which that's something that should have been done for a long time, but has not been done. Trying to look at this. This is what they said with the number 5A, 4A, 136 schools. Come on, why can't you send some of the schools down to 3A? Why can't you send some of the schools down to 2A? I get it with 1A trying to keep the enrollment, the cutoff at the highest enrollment. Try to maybe keep that 500. I get that, but there's schools that would be 500 to 1,200 that would be more appropriate for a 2A classification. They can handle that. 3A, you may be able to bring some of those schools from that 4A number down to 3A, and then that way you can level 4A off a little bit, and then level 5A a little bit off, and still get the same effect that you're wanting. Again, we've got 3 new schools coming online next year: Welland Park, Soundside, and South Marion. All right. My understanding is that Soundside, South Marion, we don't expect them to be playing varsity football until 2028. Welland Park, I'm not exactly 100% sure. I think they may be playing varsity football out the gate. The thing is, there's just too many.
For the state of Florida, 136 schools in each class in the first 2 classes is a little absurd.
And you're not balancing the numbers out in 1A and 2A. You can't. There's just if you're bent on if you're stuck on keeping 32 teams in a playoff bracket in 1A and 2A, you've got to up those numbers, because 1A should not have 32 teams going to the playoffs.
Right.
Half that number, 16. That's it. 2A. Maybe, or if it's not 16, say you take 24 teams. All right. Well, some teams get a bye round in the first round. Okay, great. Okay, I would live with that. Same with 2A.
So looking up the total count of 5A and 4A, if they have 16 districts, the average number of teams in those districts is 8.5.
So that means some districts would end up with 9 teams in the district.
Correct.
And you could have 6 of those teams be so good that 2 end up missing, and then those 2 schools, you know what you're going to have? The phone lines are going to be going off the hook at the FHA office here in Gainesville. Because you know what? Hey, why didn't we have a chance?
Yes, 8.5 teams in a 16 district format in 5A and 4A.
Because you know what? All those teams right there would have said, you know what? Let's just settle it on the field. Play a district schedule.
That's where if you require the district schedule,
yeah,
that eliminates all this travel, and not only that, it also eliminates the headache of scheduling games.
No, you're absolutely right. It would eliminate a lot of the headaches. But here we are. Here we are back to square one once more.
Let me look at. I'm looking at 3A. If you have 16 districts in 3A, that's 4.6 teams.
Which here you go. You're right back to the same situation again. Now, if it's not 16 districts, what is it like with 12?
With 12?
Yeah.
6.1 or 6.2.
Okay. So maybe it's 5A, 4A. They're sitting there at. But you've got to balance these numbers a little bit better. I think you could slide some of 3A down to 2A, slide some of 4A down to 3A, and that way you can level 4A and 5A out a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
That's
55 divided by. So if they want 8 districts in 2A,
yeah,
it'd be 6.8.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, the problem I'm having with all of this is that there's just.
I'm just calculating it out, and I'm just like, okay, but 5A and 4A don't make any sense with that number of schools.
No, it doesn't make any sense. This doesn't add up. There's nothing that adds up here.
You're going to have some good teams in certain districts that are going to be left out.
And
we're going to be hearing the problem.
And I'll say this right here. Ryan Murphy on Twitter or on X, he said, all right, here's problem number one of like 348 with this FHA proposal. They claim 450 football playing members plus the rural schools. That's only 450, including the rural schools. So the math is totally screwed. The math is screwed here. Where's the mathing here, Chris?
And it's funny, if you put 24 districts in 5A and 4A, that's 5.6. That's 5.7 teams in each district.
Like I said, the math is not mathing here.
But you can't have 24 districts in a class.
No.
Unless you're the state of Texas.
But we're not the state of Texas. We're Florida. We're Florida. This is where I'm having issues with this. Please, somebody make this make sense there. Because it's not making sense. None of this is making sense. What the FHA,
I'm just calculating it out, and I'm just like, that doesn't make sense to have 8, 9 teams in a district.
No, it doesn't. This doesn't add up.
And that's your average for 16 districts.
So we're right back in the same situation again that we are in right now.
Yeah.
I mean, why?
And you're not requiring district play. If you require district play, that solves a lot of your problems. Screw the tournament.
He says, oh, well, teams want to celebrate on the field. Well, I get it that you want to celebrate your district championship if you win it. Sometimes I get that. But you know what? This is different. This is football. This is not volleyball. This is not basketball. This is not soccer. This is not baseball. This is not flag football. This is not softball. This is none of those sports. None of them.
It's like they're trying to create the NCAA basketball format in football.
I get it.
That's what they're trying to do, and it sucks.
And I get it that they're trying to. They need to address football because obviously the football needs to be addressed here. I get that. I get that you need to address. You're going to come back later, deal with the other sports, the other classifications. There should be where is Plan 2 or Plan B, and where's Plan C at? Where are the other two plans at? At least two different plans that say, hey, which one's going to work? Which one has the best option of working? Actually, we had one that worked, in my opinion. That was Metro Suburban. It got us the closest to competitive equity as possible. The playoff games in those 2 years were so much closer. The state championships were so much more fun to watch outside of the the Class 1M game both years when Shaman and Madonna just rolled over Clearwater Central Catholic. Outside of that, every other state championship game in those 2 years in Metro Suburban were fun to watch.
When this whole thing, when this particular screenshot came up during the live, I'm looking at that 136, and I'm like, that's going to cause more headaches than you think.
This is not going to solve a lot of issues, and
you're creating more problems.
This whole problem, this whole thing, man. Something just doesn't add up here. And we're going to talk about this. Is there another person or a group that is ultimately accountable for the success of and/or failure of these issues that have been discussed today? Yeah, who's ever on the board of the FHA in 2 years? That is going to be held accountable. Because I'll tell you right now, some of these people that are on the board now were not the people that voted for what we got right now, though, 2 years ago, or what we've had the last 2 years in terms of our classifications in football.
The one of the other problems with this whole thing is there's no creative thinking into what a plan really is. They're just rehashing old things and thinking, okay, let's stick mud to it and hope it sticks.
I'm just having so many issues with this. We've been on for 2 hours, by the way, here. So doing this, by the way. So, I mean, we've been on for 2 hours. How our board of directors selected, several are voted by the membership of the FHSAA, depending on what position they're in. The rest of it is appointed by the governor of the state of Florida. And then there's the commissioner of education's appointment. That is an indefinite appointment, whoever that may be.
The conference system here in Florida doesn't make sense.
Well, Hollywood Big B just said, should they do less classes with conferences like for some states do, like with North Carolina, for example, whereas I know they have classifications, but the schools are grouped by conference, and you have schools that are that may be like, say, 5A, 4A, 3A in the same conference, but they get pulled for their playoffs depending upon how they did.
Yeah.
So, I mean, honestly, there used to be conferences years ago here in the state that, the schools were grouped by conference. Even when the classification model came out, when they started doing playoffs back in '63, there was conferences until, that were more important for a lot of these schools. And the playoffs were selected, up until like the early '70s. And then they finally started going the way of districts. But even the district model back in the '70s wasn't all that great. I mean, I feel like, really there's just more problems than we have answers right this second. I feel like this is creating a whole nother headache. And so far, the response so far to all of this is that people are not receptive to this plan.
Like I said, you're creating more problems than answered with the scheduling issue, because you're having these teams to find 8 freaking games a year,
and they shouldn't.
There are not teams. There are only a handful of teams that I can think of that can find 8 games.
I'm going to tell you right now. I'm going to tell you right now, Chris. I'm going to hear from Ryan Schneider at Cocoa when he needs games. I'm going to hear from Ty Lawrence at South Sumter when he needs games. I'm going to hear from a lot of these coaches at schools where schools are saying, you know what? Hey, all right, well, we're going to, we could play each other, but I don't want to play you because we're, you're going to dominate us. There's going to be coaches that are going to call 200 schools, and they may get 1 or 2 yeses. Or schedule. When they the games, they don't have to worry about calling. Okay, I don't have to. Okay, you know what? I have a district of 6 teams. All right, you know what? I have 5 games. I have 5 games scheduled. Okay, I need to go find 5 more games. That's it.
Back then when I was in Texas, there was a school, Abilene, I think. I had a situation where Abilene could not schedule a game because nobody wanted to play them.
And why is that?
They were too good at the time, But the other problem was travel.
But they had their district schedule. But outside of that, outside of the district schedule, they didn't want to.
Nobody wanted to play them.
Look, I'm not here to. By the way, I'm not here to attack anybody in the FHSAA. This is not a personal attack. My thing is about the process that's going on here, the process that we're having here. I advocate for football. I also advocate on the side of girls flag football for the girls. Okay, what we're seeing right now here for boys with the tackle football is not good. This is not good, and this is not the way we should be going with this.
You could have a district tournament for flag football. That's fine.
But they get 15 games a year on the regular season schedule.
Yeah.
Football only gets
that's fine.
Football only gets 10. All right, you know what's going to happen? I'll tell you this right now. A school like John I. Leonard, who basically right now, who's 0-9 going into the season finale, they're probably going to finish 0-10 this year. You know what? If this was in play right now, John I. Leonard would have folded after the 9th week. They would have said, you know what? We're 0-8, we're done. We're out.
Yep.
And I'm going to tell you, I'm interested to hear the opinions of the county athletic directors on this come Monday morning, because I guarantee it. I guarantee it right now. This plan's not going to fly with Hillsborough County. This plan's not going to fly with Palm Beach County. This plan's not going to fly with Miami-Dade County. This plan's not going to fly with Duval County. This plan's not going to fly with anybody right now. I guarantee you that. There are going to be some loud voices for their counties come Monday morning.
Mm-hmm.
This is not going to fly.
And I guarantee you some of these rural schools are not going to like this either.
No. Because basically they're just saying, hey, if I had a district schedule, I wouldn't have to worry about trying to find 10 games. Basically, you're saying, okay, we're going to have a district, but you're not a district, because I don't, you're not required to play me unless I'm seeded for weeks 10 and then week 11. That's not going to happen.
Mm-hmm. We already have these schools that they're afraid to schedule these teams in the next district because of the potential of playing them in the playoffs.
I get that. I get something. I understand. And this is where Mark says, hey, after watching this excerpt, I feel I need to take my fiber therapy. At this point, I need a big juicy cheeseburger. Please, somebody send me some food. That one. Gosh.
There you go, Mark. There you go, Mark.
What is that, Chris? You got there? Oh, hold on. Let me see. Let me pull that up here. Let me make my screen bigger on that one. Oh, Joyride. Okay.
There you go.
Yeah, I just, Chris, I don't know. This whole thing has got me. This whole thing has got me in a tizzy.
It got me fired up too.
It's got me fired up, and we're gonna have our shows tonight starting at 7:30. We'll have the Central Florida Blitz. We'll do our formats normally, like our 35-minute shows. We're not gonna have any interviews tonight because we're just gonna sit there and really kind of just take each of this and just really get for people who didn't make the show that watch this. We'll answer that.
Yeah,
you might want to go ahead and get some tonight from Mark. I'm gonna need some caffeinated go-go juice at this point. The way I'm going.
Oh God.
And as I said here, this is what it felt like with everything. That's what I feel like is going on right now. It's just that we're having the Benny Hill show going on. Because that's
what I thought I watched.
Like I feel like we're going in circles and going in circles and going in circles. There's
When I said that comment, you knew exactly what I meant.
Yes, exactly. Exactly, I knew what you meant. I knew exactly what you meant here. And I just, I'm going to wear a helmet tonight so I don't pull my hair out.
For the nighttime the people who are going to watch it tonight, then it's just now figuring out. We're going to have to rehash this again.
Yeah.
And it's going to cause more frustration.
It really is going to cause more frustration. It really is. There's not enough answers that. I mean, I'll be honest. We've had more viewership on our stream than the FHA did on their on that informational workshop. And there was what bothers me about this is that there's a few of us in the media that knew about this, but outside of that, I'll be honest. I'm going to look at this real quick here. There was no post. There was no post on the FHA social media channels about this workshop.
Well, that's a surprise.
which really isn't a surprise to me. You want to build better relationships in the state with your constituents, which is your member schools. You've got to start communicating the way the coaches in the schools communicate, and now a lot of that's through social media.
And some of these coaches are going to find out what's going on here, and they're going to be shocked.
And you know how they're going to find out? They're going to find out through our shows, because that's where they find out.
Oh yeah.
Okay, when I got coaches messaging me,
I'm sure your phone's lit up.
No, not right this second, but it
will be.
Man, I
the communication level of this to the coaches is not good. And when the coaches find out what this plan is, they're going to revolt. Because you're forcing all these schools, 700, whatever number we have playing football, to schedule 8 games a year.
This is
and that's going to cause a lot of problems.
I've got so many problems with this. There's like 500 problems with this, and Carter doesn't have enough liver pills to handle these problems. That's where I'm at with this. Because this is not what I was thinking would come out of the FHA. This is not what I'm thinking that this would be the result. This would be a solution.
Yeah, we expected the lower class, the 5 classification, but the numbers on that don't even add up.
It doesn't,
because you're putting, like I said, you do the calculation on those districts in 5A and 4A. You're asking 8 to 9 teams per district. And half of those teams are going to be shut out.
Yeah. Oh, you're absolutely right. They're going to be shut out, and that's what's going to happen. Oh man! Oh man! Oh man! Oh man! Oh man! Oh man! Could somebody just please, for the love of cheese and crackers. I'm heated up. I'm lit right now. I'm not lit like in that sense. Don't take that the wrong way, people. I'm fired up. I'm fired up because we've got so many problems here.
They're saying it creates more. They're saying it solves a lot of problems, but no, it's the exact opposite.
It very much is the exact opposite, and this whole plan, I just can we throw this into the garbage can somewhere? I guess I want to wash my hands of it. I feel like I need a shower after this. I really do, because I don't know where we're going with this.
Yeah, I don't either.
Because if this is what the plan is voted on Monday, I guarantee you coaches are gonna raise some hell.
Mm-hmm. And I'm about to put something on X about this, about the classification proposal.
And I just don't. I you know what? This meeting happened at 2 p.m. Eastern. And what are a lot of coaches and a lot of coaches and a lot of people that are the stakeholders in this? What are they doing? They're still teaching classes. Our school's getting out. They're getting ready to go to practices. All right.
Mm-hmm.
This would have been a better situation had this been done at 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock. That way, a lot of more people can tune in. But now what we're going to have to do with our shows tonight is explain this.
Yeah, our show tonight is going to be.
Forget that we're not having anybody on for interview at this point because there's too much to digest here, and the people that are going to be coming in, we're going to need to really explain what's going on here. And I'm going to try to take the screenshots of these so that way we can use this, or I'll just leave this up. We'll bring it up during the show, and I'll keep the live feed as a part of that live stream. We'll be able to bring it up. Again, there's just. The only person I'll take an interview from right now is Craig Damon himself. I'll bring him on the show if he wants to come on and explain this even further to the people.
Yeah,
that'd be the only person to bring on.
I would welcome that. I mean, if we can get somebody,
any of the 4 shows tonight.
I mean, this is just.
I just the public perception is not good either right now. Brendan, I would tell you right now that I don't doubt anything. You don't put the power past me that I can get Craig Damon to come on the show. All I know right now is that there's. By the way, while there's been a couple articles that have come out on this already, we've been the only ones that have been doing live streaming and actually bringing this into y'all and giving y'all commentary, giving y'all thoughts, looking at this because this is what we do. This is what we do best. Bringing the comments, bringing the commentary, and doing this because honestly, at the end of the day, we care about this so much. This is what we really like to do. And trust me, we'll do another overtime Monday after this whole board meeting said and done with. We will do another whole nother thing on next Monday on this. We will do it because, and I'll tell you this. I'll do a live blog post update from the FHSAA board meeting. We'll do updates to that. Brennan, you joined late, but he tried to call me right before that. We were going on as he tried to call me. I didn't see the call. I saw that until right as we were getting close. So I'll give him a call back, and I'll see if I can talk to him more about this. But I really, honestly, this is just not it. This plan's not it.
No.
If you be honest, I'd be honest. Look at. Let's okay. Georgia's going to something with the rankings. They're going to see 1 through 32. I get it. Georgia's different, but they're still going to have their regions. They're still going to have that mandated regional play. Blah blah blah. But you know what? They've done it well. It's worked well for them for years. Let me see right now with GHSA. I'm going to look at something here because I want to. Classifications. Where would I find that at here with okay regions. Okay, so in Georgia, Chris, in Georgia, their highest classification is 6A. They only have 58 schools in that. In the smallest region, which they 8 regions, what they call them district. I mean, they're called. I mean, they're basically a district. They're regions. They divided it up by schools, basically. So the regions. So they got schools that don't have. There's schools that don't have varsity football that are in a region that are region. So, the smallest region of the 8 regions in out of the 58 teams, which by the way, it's 56 teams when you remove 2 schools that don't have football. The smallest region has 5 teams. That's acceptable. Most have 6 to 8. This one that's up near the Forsyth area, up in the north part of Atlanta. Take 2 teams out that don't have football. They have 8 teams in their region. What? They have 7 region games. They play 3 non-region games. There you go, 10 games. Easy.
Yep.
Easy. And guess what Georgia does also? When it comes to transfers, there's a multiplier. What are we missing here? What are we missing in all of this that I cannot get my head around? What's?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, and I just tweeted out the proposal with the 136 4A and 5A district on X.
Yeah.
And once coaches get the gist of that, they're going to be like, what?
Yeah.
Until you see it. So, I mean, this is exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah.
This creates more problems than answers.
No, it really does. It really does. Wow.
Anyway.
Anyways, well, let's wrap this up here, Chris, and then we can we'll be back for everything. Any final thoughts here, and we'll be talking about this plenty for this week for tonight. Actually, on the shows here, starting at 7:30 with the Central Florida Blitz, and then we have Northeast Florida, North Central, and then the Panhandle. And we'll trust me, I know a lot of people are going to be talking about it.
Yeah, this is about the only thing we'll be talking about, really.
Outside of recapping week, I got John Brantley. John Brantley the third.
What do you have to say?
Hold on one second. All right, I'll give Coach a call back here in a moment here, so that way we can end it. But any final thoughts here, Chris?
Man, this is more questions than answered.
We appreciate everybody that's been. Yeah, we definitely appreciate everybody that's been with us here for the last 2.5 hours on this live stream. We'll be back starting at 7:30 tonight with the Central Florida edition of the Blitz. There's a lot to be talked about. People who missed this, we're going to talk about it. We're going to address it. We'll have the stuff up. We'll talk about it in each show, and we'll go from there. All right. Let's see who's going to try to join us for tonight. Oh, is that Hollywood? Yeah. Join us at 8:15. That's when the Northeast Florida edition of the Blitz will be on. Hollywood, Big B. All right. For Christopher Like, I'm Josh Wilson. We appreciate everybody joining us here on this special edition of the Blitz Overtime here on FloorHSFootball.com. We'll see you tonight starting at 7:30.